All right, Mr. Prue, I appreciate you coming here, man. The first ever podcast. I'm excited. So, give the little listeners what they want to hear, okay? Little 5-minute explanation of yourself, why they should not hit stop or move on to the next podcast. Who are you?
Well, I gotta say first, I was a little bit nervous to be the first guy on your podcast, and with my English not being that smooth, so I spoke all morning with my girlfriend in English to make sure I was warmed up before I came here. So hopefully it will go well. No, I'm really happy to be here. I think it's gonna be a very open conversation, about all of our thoughts, and we're not gonna hold back. And that's a big reason why I accepted to be here today. I think a lot of time we're censored in what we have to say when we speak with media and stuff like that. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. Obviously, my journey to the CFL was, I think, pretty interesting coming from the Laval background and actually Montreal. If you don't know, Laval is the town right next to Montreal. It's not as famous, but this is where I come from, and making my way all the way to the CFL. I only started football really in high school. Actually, I started earlier than that, but I wasn't too successful at it, and I moved on to other sports, and then they started a program that one year at my high school, and it all started from there. Then spent some time at CJEP, won one game in 3 years, and still was able to move on and go to University of Montreal. So obviously, I guess we're going to talk a lot about football, but I also recently became a dad, so that's going to be, I'm sure, another topic. And obviously, everything that happened this year with our situation, not actually playing football, so kind of having to reinvent ourselves. So but and really, if you don't find this interesting, you're gonna have to click and move on. That's what it is.
Exactly. So let's dive right into it, man. We literally haven't played a football game since November of 2019, which is crazy. Like, what age? You said high school you started playing. So what age would that have been?
That would probably 15, 16 years old.
15, 16.
But really, I've played before that, civil football.
Yeah.
During those times that you learn the hard way. We were practicing different at the time. It was just like running to one another. And if they didn't want you to make the team, they would just put you in the middle, send the 5 toughest guy and run into you. So I did that part. And that's probably why I stepped away from football a little bit. And then they started a program out of nowhere. My last year of high school, I played 5 years of basketball there. I think I was a pretty good athlete, but I never had the touch or the finish, and probably didn't spend enough time working on my techniques there. And football was just a better fit, and I had more offers. So I was fortunate to getting an offer from my CJEP right next to my house. So I was like, I watch the papers sometimes on that team, and they seems really successful. But I didn't know much about football because I only played 1 year. And I was super impressed that they wanted me on their team. And actually, what I didn't understand is they were in their second year, first year in the new division, the year that I came in. And so they stepped up. So they were winning the other division every year. But it was a bit more of a struggle when I got there. But it was fun. I got to hit the field quickly. And I spent a good time there. And I had made tons of friends, and I'm still working with that program a little bit sometimes. So
yeah, that's awesome when you can go back and you have good experiences growing up. So it's probably the first time since you were 15 or 16 years old that you haven't played football in the fall.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So I mean, I'm in the same boat, right? Like, I started playing football early, like 9 or 10 years old. So last year was obviously something crazy. Like, literally the first time in almost 20 years I haven't played football in the fall, right? So I mean, stuff that we've been through, absolutely crazy. And you kind of touched on it in the introduction. What have we been doing for the past year, right? Obviously, a lot of our persona and identity is built up in the community through what we do on the field. Mm-hmm. But there's obviously so much that goes on in the background. When you look at the majority of professional athletes and stuff like that, even, I'm not going to touch on the CFL guys, but when you talk about NFL, MLB, NHL, just their personal brand and the value that they bring to it far exceeds a lot of the time their salary and what they do on the field, in the rink, on the baseball field and stuff like that. So, I mean, tell us right now, like, what have you been doing for the past year and a half? How have you been staying afloat? I won't get into the exact economics of what happened to us over the past year, but we all know that we took a big hit. That's no surprise. So what have you been doing?
Yeah, that's a good topic. I really feel like the main thing I wanted to do is build my relationship with people in the city, and it didn't even came from me at first.
City, you're talking Ottawa?
Yeah, City of Ottawa, yeah,
Okay.
for sure, and also Gatineau, right, both sides from
Which
me.
is where you live right now, right?
No, I'm on the Ottawa side right
Okay.
now. I'm trying to buy a house. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to afford one. This market's so crazy, so I might have to move back on the Quebec side.
Yeah,
but
no, yeah.
yeah, we'll see. But yeah, build better relationship with the business in Ottawa, business world of Ottawa, and I was surprised to see that it didn't came from me at first. People really reached out. They wanted to help us start a season this year. I even got the people at Ottawa Meat Valley. They reached out and saying like, "Hey, I think we could start like a fund to help you guys," and they were amazing. And it happened a bit too late when we came up with that idea. But there's a lot of people that would like to back our organization, and mostly us as players, and that's what I've realized this year. And I was able to get in touch with multiple business owners and try to see how that could benefit myself, and also I could help them grow their business. So there's been a couple of communication with those people. Obviously, I've been working with Auto Subarus for, I think, almost since the beginning. I would say 5 years now. They're providing me with a car, and I try to help them with some of the events they're doing, post some stuff on social media, but mostly they're a business that's super involved in the community. They did that thing for Christmas where they help some family in needs and give them some gifts and food and stuff like that. So we were there. But I kind of want to do more of that. And I also want to help guys like us, because for me and you, it's easier. We've been here around for 5-6 years, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But other guys on the team, they're not going to receive those calls. And it's hard as a 20-year-old, 21-year-old to go out there and brand yourself or just say, hey, look, I think I can help your business. I think I can give you some visibility. And I'm also going to be a guy that's got time to be there and help you out. And it's just tough for them to have that sales speech. And I want to kind of put together a structure for those guys that it's accessible and they know who wants to partner with us.
Yeah.
And if guys like me and you start doing that, I think it's going to be I don't have the word in English, but un gros réseautage. So it's going to be a huge line of communication for everybody where we can, if I get in touch with the people you're working out with or your sponsors who's treating you, it's a lot easier if you know that already when you move in. And when you move in, same thing with real estate and stuff like that. Try to find an apartment when we get there. Stuff like. So I want to facilitate that for the other players for the next year. So that's been one big thing that I've done this offseason. What about you?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's pretty eye-opening when the point in your life, literally, that you realize it's more about who you know than what you know is like absolutely mind-blowing. Like literally just epiphany after epiphany. I mean, I've done, like you commented, I've tried to get myself as involved with the community as possible and build those relationships with the community. Obviously, I've had a supplement sponsor, an athletic alliance that have been absolutely great, providing me everything that I need for training and health and nutrition and all that. And I get some social media posts and stuff like that through them in the community and stuff like that. They're all based out of Toronto. I've also been working with Ion group of companies, which is new. I've been working with them since about last November, December. They've got Image On, facility services, printing, They've got the pros marketing, Element 6, which is all digital platforms, website creation, social media management, stuff like that. So it's actually a huge company, and something that I was super, super looking forward to. But it was, again, something, like you mentioned, they were reaching out to me. But like you said, not everybody has those contacts that are established, right? But in all honesty, it's been a little bit of a blessing. I've had the opportunity to contribute to articles that became mailers and newsletters for Popeye supplements in Ontario. So if you ever bought supplements from Popeyes in Ontario, you probably got blasted out with an emailer with my face right in the middle of it. So sorry about that, but it was something cool. Exactly, right. Just trying to diversify what I can do in the community. And obviously the one good thing is that I'm right now in my hometown market, right? Which is a little bit of a different situation for you. You're a big household name here in Ottawa because of what you've done on the field, right? Since the early days of the Red Blacks. I mean, I've been living in Ottawa since what, 97 probably. So I mean, that's the one advantage that I have in this market is that a lot of the relationships that I'm currently working with and expanding were already developed from growing up here, which is super nice. But I mean, just diversifying your income is something that I think is so underutilized and not talked about, especially here in the CFL. I honestly find it so hard for people to build their personal brands. Which is crazy because the CFL is probably the one professional sports organization where like fans get ridiculous access to us, right? Like how many DMs do you get just from like fans asking for like a video, like wishing their daughter happy birthday and stuff like that, right?
Tons.
Well, that's just what I'm saying. And that's what's honestly so cool about Canadian football. It's the same thing. We get off the bus and the team bus, and fans will come right up to us and ask for autographs on player cards and stuff like that.
Yeah, we go on the field after every
100%.
game.
After home games, exactly. You'll have
like
25,000 fans down on the game hanging out with us, right? And we get to meet people that way. It's like that would never happen. These guys in the NFL, NHL, and stuff like that are trailed by security. Like there's just not access to them like there is to us. So to me, it makes no sense that we aren't helping our own personal brands as much as some of the other athletes. And I get it. We're never going to be guys that, especially playing in the Canadian market alone, like that segment alone, Canadian football, as much as we'd love it to be as big as Canadian hockey, I don't think that, well, we're fighting an uphill battle, right? So I don't think you're ever going to see CFL guys with 1 million followers on Instagram or TikTok or doing anything like that, which makes it a little bit hard. But there's different ways to value someone in the community, right? It's not necessarily just by followers. Look at what you're doing with Auto Subaru, right? It's not necessarily about followers and social media marketing. If you put your face on a campaign, on any type of promotional ad, whether it be billboards or TV, or I hear your fucking voice on the radio, man. I know, yeah, you did those radio ads, and I'm like, that's Prue, barely speaking English.
Hey, that was funny because I did that one at the beginning of my career, so my English was even worse. And it was not like, I think they made the ad as a conversation between me and a fan or big. I never heard it actually.
You never heard it? Oh.
All I did was reading the lines like on the card. So I know they made it a conversation, but I was just doing my lines with nobody answering me. So I didn't even know what tone I should take, like what was the feedback to it. So I really need to hear the final result, but I never heard it actually.
Yeah.
But hey, speaking of all that, like what do you think about our association with Mimo?
You know what? I think that the PA means really well in trying to create alternative revenue streams for us. I'll say this, there are some fans here in Ottawa that I've built personal relationships with that, like we said, right? I get a DM and it's, hey, it's my brother's birthday, or hey, it's my daughter's birthday. And I mean, that's what makes the CFL special. You know what I mean? Like we aren't monetizing that stuff. You get access to us. So, I mean, It's tough, right? Because I understand, and the CFL, the PA is always going to have a stance like we should always be paid a certain amount for public appearances, which is true, and obviously any philanthropic ventures that we do out of our own heart. I know I have organizations here in Ottawa that I work with completely for free. I would never charge them because it's for the betterment of the community and it's what I feel is right. So I really do appreciate the PA trying to create revenue for us that way. I mean, if it's some person in Victoria, BC or something like that saying, hey, you're a running back, wish my cousin a happy birthday or something like that, for sure. Give me $15 to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, I honestly struggle with hometown fans and stuff like that and charging them for that.
Yeah, it's not something you would like to charge them for.
Yeah,
and,
no, exactly.
I mean, yeah, especially not just for a video like that. I mean, I remember in my first year here, like there was a mother, she contacted me and she wanted me to actually come to his son's birthday. And to me, that's a step, you know. That's not what I felt like natural doing. Yeah. But I was with Chris Milo, I think, at the time, and in his car when that happened. I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Let's go see what it's gonna be like to go to this kid's birthday. And it was actually amazing, man. We thought we were gonna be there like 5 minutes. We spent at least 2 hours there. Like we played in the backyard, played football in the backyard. Then the kid, I think he was super good at hockey, so he brought us up front. We started playing hockey in front of his house, and he's a fan. He's come into almost every game with his mother, and he's shaking my hand every time I get out of the tunnel. So no, it was like you're right. I think that's what's special about the CFL, and it's tough if we start charging people for that because it kind of ruined the whole vibe that we tried to establish there. And there's probably other ways to do it, but you're also, I think that some people, they'd like to help us out, you know?
Yeah.
So they're already doing it. They're gonna say like, hey, look, this is my business, come eat for free here, or I'm a tattoo artist if you want to.
Which we have. I mean, like you said, we literally, we're spoiled here in Ottawa for that. We have so many different restaurants that are like that we have personal relationships with the owners, like you said. So, I mean, we're spoiled here in Ottawa like that. Not every marketplace is like that, though. You go to, like, Toronto. Toronto's a tough market, man.
Yeah, because they're not the main event there, but I think that's why you gotta be very smart if you can have the opportunity to move in for the whole year when you're hired by a team. I know not everybody can do it because of their family and also their wives got their job. I'm not telling the wives to always
follow the players,
and kill their dream. Like, I mean, their job is just as valuable, if it's not more. But if you have the opportunity to do it, I think it's the right move. That's what I did from the first. When I got drafted here, I moved all my stuff. There was no doubt in my mind I was not going back to Montreal, even though I like Montreal. I think that helped me out a lot. I would have never got that sponsorship if I with Subaru for 5 years if I wasn't here year round. It wouldn't make sense for them.
100%.
And I think we're seeing more and more guys doing that. Actually, a lot of American guys are in here full year, contributing to our community, and that's why it was so weird to me this year when I heard people say. We were trying to find some programs to help those guys financially. Yeah. And people were mad because some of our players are American. And why should we help out this league? I was like, wait, actually, these guys are, yes, their origins, they're American, but they're still, a lot of them actually lives here full year. They pay taxes full year. Yep. They contribute to their EI. They make the EI payment on every paycheck. So I'm like, what are you talking about?
100%. They have every right that we do. I completely agree. I completely agree with you. That was the exact opposite of what I did when I got to Toronto. I got to Toronto with absolutely nothing. I don't know whether I wasn't really expecting to make the team or whatever, but I mean, I showed up to training camp and as a running back, they gave me number 45, right? So I was like, my stay here is going to be short. And then I ended up making the roster, had to buy a car, had to like ship everything from Ottawa, but I always came back to Ottawa in the off season, but like I said, Toronto's a completely different marketplace. It's so saturated between the Raptors, the Toronto FC, the Jays, obviously, Maple Leafs. It's tough, right? Here in Ottawa, I mean, we have some Basketball, obviously the CEBL now and stuff like that. A new soccer team. We're getting a rugby team next year. But realistically, in terms of the big sporting venues, it's really just the Senators and us, which is awesome. And I mean, if you ask me, we have a huge advantage over them. Their arena's in Canada, in the middle of nowhere, hard to get to, only one way in, one way out. We're in the middle of the city in one of the best areas of Ottawa. It's super easy to bus to. You can walk there, drive there. I mean, like if you see, I understand that the Senators play a ton of games, but I mean, generally in terms of attendance alone, we absolutely outperform them almost every game, right?
Yeah. No, I definitely think it's like one of the best event that there is in town, even if you don't like football. And a lot of people that my friends from Montreal, when I started playing at the beginning, every time I was playing in Montreal, they were like, "Hey, can you get us some tickets?" And every friend that went one time to Lansdowne, they were no longer asking me for tickets in Montreal. They were like, "Hey, we're gonna make the trip to Ottawa. Like, can you get us some tickets?" Because the whole experience of the Lansdowne area was just so fun.
Yeah.
And especially for family with the park right next to it. You can drive the bus for free and not drive the bus, but get on the bus. Hey, if you can drive the bus for free, that would be legit the best experience you get. But it's a lot of fun, and I think it's a good event for the community to just be there, enjoy a nice meal at Joey's, and then just get to the game. And the stadium itself, I think they did a good job revamping it. And I think they're planning on doing some more stuff out there in the future. So hopefully if we can get the south side a little bit better, it would be... the north side. Yeah, north side is the whole part, right?
Yeah. North side's opposite of our bench.
Yeah, exactly.
South side's the party side.
Yeah.
All the bars.
Hey, there's nothing stopping you from going to the north side or to the south side when you buy your tickets.
100%. So. That's what the majority of my friends do. They just buy cheap tickets on the north side and then hang out on the concourse of the south side the whole time.
Or when you go rep your GG jersey at the Panda game, huh?
Oh, yeah. Panda game, I'm on the field, man. I can't hang... Well, I'm in the concourse for the bar, but... generally, I'm on the field in between drinks.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, so you gotta stay a little bit sober then.
Yeah, but exactly. So we're talking a little bit about Ottawa and Ottawa's unique marketplace and where we kind of fit in. Coming from Montreal, obviously, or Laval, like you said, outside of Montreal. What's unique about Ottawa in terms of like a marketplace for sports, in terms of restaurants, bars? Like, what do you like about Ottawa? Why are you staying here?
Well, what I like the most, I'd say, is the outdoor. Like here, it's like no others, because you still get to do all those things with the restaurants and stuff, sporting events, festivals. It's all there. Just like in Montreal, it's bigger, but I mean, there's a bit more diversity for restaurants and stuff. But you're not gonna get the outdoor stuff that we can do here with the Gatineau Park right next to it, the green space, the Rideau Canal. Like how many runners do you see them there when you get to the stadium in the morning? Ride your bike. There's some nice bike ride too here. So I think it's a good in between. You know, like you're not you're still in a city, but you can do a lot of stuff that you would do when you're outside the city. So it's a good middle ground. And the other reason, you know, I like to have a few drinks here and there. All my friends were in Montreal, and I needed to play professional sports and be healthy. I think it was a good thing for me to kind of step away from that life and get serious about football. And not that I wasn't serious, but, you know, doing all the right things and maybe not be tempted to go out for drinks, because our schedule kind of allows that a little bit.
A little bit.
So you can easily fall on that path, and I know that my career would probably be over if I fell on that part. But
that's something that I've never understood, man. There are some like high performing athletes that like you said, the distractions off the field and stuff like that, whether it's drugs or alcohol, that are literally like every single day, and then we're practicing with them, and it's like I try and do everything right and yoga and sleep good and stuff like that, and then they're the exact opposite, literally drinking every day, like I said, drug use, whatever, and it's like they get on the field and it's like it affects them like in no way, shape, or form. You're like,
No, it's just-
how the hell are you doing what you're doing right now?
Yeah, some guys look even better sometimes when they're on something. So I think they probably care less or they're less nervous or something.
Yeah,
but
maybe.
it seems to work out for some of the guys. Definitely wouldn't work out for me. I
No.
mean, but I do feel like you gotta have some balance though. If you
Oh,
always
100%.
try to do the right thing, first of all, that's when you go out for drinks. You don't have to drink, but I mean, when you go out with the guys, that's where you build your chemistry.
Yes.
And if you don't do none of that and you're always serious, you also, I think you're more nervous because you feel like it's you're putting so much into that one thing that if it doesn't work, then it ruins everything you've done. So it's like putting too much pressure on one thing.
Yeah.
So I feel like you gotta have a nice balance of doing things outside of football, not always be like on your iPad watching the tape for the previous game. Enjoy yourself when you go out in different cities.
I'm with you, yeah. Nothing brings a team together like chugging beers, man.
Yeah, exactly. The one thing I'm not doing anymore though that I was doing at the beginning, every road trip like we were going out and it was getting ugly. But now I just can't handle the plane coming back home.
Yeah,
So I don't.
Vancouver's tough, eh?
Yeah.
Playing out in BC, you're dealing with the time change. You're obviously going out after the game, and then you've got like a 5-hour plane ride back first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's really tough. Look, I'm gonna go somewhere. We might have to edit that part. We'll see. We're going to Vancouver and good. We have a pretty good party in the bars and stuff, but not far from the craziest that I've had there. And,
average party.
Yeah, the average road trip with the CFL and back. And then next morning, I'm not feeling great, but I'm not feeling bad either. And some guys on the bus just go, "Hey, you want some candies?" But I really didn't expect this guy to have that type of candy.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "Yeah, sure," and just start taking a bunch. And I'm not like, I'm more someone who's gonna do it like we're talking about weed there.
Yeah. Yeah. I knew it.
Yeah. We're talking about like weed candies or
Yeah.
how do you call it? Not candies, but les jujubes.
Edibles. Oh,
Edible?
jujubes, like, yeah, candies is fine, though.
Candies is fine.
Yeah,
okay,
candies is fine.
So he offers me that, and prior to that, somebody offered me a cookie. And this one I knew it wasn't the cookie. I was like, oh, you know what? Let's do it. So I think, but a very small portion of the cookie. I'm like, maybe I'm gonna have a little feeling there. But then I ate all those candies and I didn't know I had weed in them. And it didn't go well, man. We go to the airport. I'm green. I'm starting sweating. I'm not feeling good. And I don't understand. So I go to the guy who gave me a cookie. I'm like, what was in that thing? Like, you try to...
It's like 200 milligrams.
Yeah, like, what's up? Like, I don't even know. That's how bad I am with weed stuff. But like, anyway, so I really questioned myself about, like, should I take the plane right now or should I just leave? I stumble in the alley to the plane. I think I dropped my water bottle on a woman. I was like, I'm so sorry. I got to my seat and I fell asleep, but it was the worst experience. And after that, I never did anything wrong in Vancouver, man. I stayed really, really, really quiet.
Yeah, Vancouver's an easy place to get in trouble. People don't realize, but like dispensaries were literally on every single corner in Vancouver before it was even legal, and they just like, it costs police so much money to shut one of these places down that another one would just open up on the next corner. And then like literally, I can't say how many years ago it was. Like I said, you go to the coffee shop and it's a weed store. It's crazy out in Vancouver, but
yeah, because they had coffee place there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you could just like
100%.
go there and smoke there. And
Yeah.
I remember like the DB squad, like we were all hanging out together. I think it was 2 days prior to the game because we always get there very early when we go to Vancouver, which is very fun when we do that. But and when we were like walking with that group of guys and we went into a weed coffee shop and there was two coaches there. And we were like, oh, and they looked at us, we looked at them.
Yeah.
Well, if you do it, I can do it. Okay, everyone's fine.
That's the best. Those awkward moments. That's just it. Especially, dude, those plane rides sometimes get so long that, yeah, exactly. I don't blame anyone, especially with the time and stuff like that. If you can cheat your way to having a better night's sleep the night before a game and stuff like that, because people don't realize too. Us coming from the East, playing at West, like we kick off at like 10 p.m. Eastern time. Mm-hmm. It's like the third quarter starts, and it's like. Literally, I'd be like halfway through my night's sleep by the time we're playing a third quarter. Like, that shit's hard.
I struggle with that every single year because we practice in the morning. We have meeting in the morning, and then we practice around noon.
Yeah.
At 10 p.m. usually, like that's when I'm in my bed, like watching a TV series or whatever. But what I started doing the last 2 years was going on run around like 7, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I felt much better because it's like all my system was adapted to that. That okay, I gotta be able to like have some energy at that time of the night, and but when you're traveling, it's horrible, regardless of doing this or not. But at least, but I still felt it at home too. You know, when we played at 7 at home, it's not easy because our system's not adapted to that. The whole week we practice at noon. So
100%, exactly.
I always love like the day game actually.
Yeah, I'm the same. Well, that's what we're used to in university too, right? Mm-hmm. Like 1 p.m. kickoff. And there's no time to think, dude. You wake up, eat breakfast, kick off. It's like perfect. Because I'm the same. Like game day, it's like you kind of touched on already. Like getting yourself away from football, just for the sake of balance and stuff like that. Like you said, it's important for us to have fun because everything we do once we get to the stadium is so serious and. It's so easy to be consumed in that life that having fun is super important. And I'm the same. Aside from having fun, like. When my game prep's done, like I'm done. I don't have anything to do with football like the day before. Like some guys are still watching film like in the dressing room before games and stuff like that. It's like Friday night, if we play on a Saturday, like Friday night and Saturday morning and all throughout the day, I do absolutely nothing football. Like football's done. If I don't know it by that point, like I don't know it. You know what I mean? Like I'm watching movies, doing whatever I gotta do to do anything but think about football.
Yeah, you have to. And I think there's a big misconception from the common fan about the job we're doing when we're in the facility. You know, a lot of people think this job is only physical when it's crazy the amount of time we spend on watching tape and sitting in meetings, getting taught by our coach about our opponent and stuff like that. And just what we're doing there, it's not an easy job. Like the meeting part, it's long. It's really, really long, and you got to be focused 100% because a question can come at any time. And it's a little bit like school for that part, but even like the difference is if you miss the question, the coach is not just like, it's not like a teacher who's just going to move on to, all right, the next student. Now he's just going to pick on you until you get it right, and you're probably going to be fired the next day if you don't answer right at some point. So those meetings, like, they're a big part of what we're doing, and I think it's just, there's just a misconception for people of what we're really doing down there, and it's a lot of hours. Like if we spend at least 6-7 hours at the facility there. You what time you get there usually?
Normally like 6:45.
6:45, and you leave at what, like 3?
2 normally.
2 normally, so I'm
math.
No.
We're like 7.5 hours.
We just gotta cut.
To noon,
We cut the part where we think about how many hours that is.
6 to noon, almost 8.
Let's go. Yeah,
almost 8.
8 hours, and it's 8 hours. You didn't go on Facebook during that time. You know, it's 8 hours of total focus. Yeah. And same thing on the field. We're not even talking about training camp where it's like from 6 in the morning to 10 in the evening. So
100%. So let's change gears a little bit. Like something that I've talked about on a ton of podcasts and stuff like that is obviously somewhere along the line. Like I'm going into year 8 in the CFL. What year are you going into?
8 as well.
8,
right?
exactly. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So that's like,
well,
first of all, when the fuck did that happen? Yeah, well, we'll count last year, okay? Yeah, right? Like when did we become the old guys? But just dealing with the bullshit behind the scenes. Like you're a player rep. I'm not. But as you get older and you take on the leadership role and stuff like that, what people don't realize is it's a little bit more than a mentorship role too. You also have to deal with a lot more of the non-football stuff, which is what I'm referring to as the bullshit that I talk about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And communicate all that stuff to the young guys. Do you feel like you're doing the same thing too? Like it's fucking tiring, especially with everything that's been going on with COVID and everything like that. Like we haven't dealt with football in literally like a year and a half, and it's like, to be honest, it's not pushing me away from the game, but it's hard, man. Like it's distracting all of a sudden when guys are coming to me asking for questions about paychecks and when the season's going to start and stuff like that. It's like it takes it out of you, literally.
Yeah, when I took the players rep job, I didn't think that it was gonna be like that. You know, there was no pandemic, there was nothing like it. I was just gonna hand out like the information from the PA here and there, and we had tons of meetings last year to try to get the season going and stuff like that. And I had to make a lot of phone calls to try to reassure some people or try to help them out finding ways to secure some type of financial help. And it was challenging, but it was also fun at the beginning. But now it's starting to drain me a little bit. I'm like, I don't get the part that I love the most about the job that I'm making, which is playing football. Mm-hmm. And now it's all the negative stuff all the time. It's really recurrent right now. It's always the same problems that comes up. So, yeah, it is draining. But at the same time, there's some part of it that I like, that I feel like it's fun to help out people and to try to get this league to be better than it is right now. And I'd like to continue doing that, but it would be a lot easier right now if football was going on, for sure, you know? So.
Yeah.
But
that's just the whole thing. When you're young, like, just being naive is almost bliss. Like, my first 2 years in the league in Toronto, dude, I was just concentrating on not getting cut. Like, yeah. I'm not worried about paychecks. I'm not worried about what's going on in the CBA. I'm not worried about ratios or any of that stuff. It's like you're so ignorant to everything that goes on behind the scenes, and it's like, that part was so good. But I mean, like you said, I enjoy the leadership role and being there for players. It's just, I wish that obviously right now times are a little bit different because we aren't dealing with the football side of it and stuff like that. It's like trying to help these young guys out. Like we talked about in the beginning, almost this kind of completely shifted gears and be like, listen guys, this is your opportunity to get your ducks in a row outside of football.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you went there. That's true. It was so much different when we were naive, man. And actually, a lot of it was more fun. Because, there's a lot of things that needs to get better in our league. And I think everybody knows that now, for sure. But it was so fun when you're just competing to try to play football and stuff. And that the leadership role at the beginning, you didn't expect it to be like that. You thought it was just going to be, I'm going to show other players how football works.
Exactly.
And now it's actually more about like, hey, you got to be careful putting some money aside. This is how you got to set your things up. The housing part is super important for you. Make sure you're in a house that you're going to like, because if you don't like your space when you're done with practice, you're never going to be able to, rest and feel better about what just happened on the football field if you had a bad day. So it's more mentorship like that than actually like the football stuff. And I really didn't expect that. And I kind of miss those days sometimes where it was just, I'm just here to talk and play football.
Yeah.
And it's like my relationship with Marcel, which is, I'm super, we've worked together for 7 years now. Yep. And whenever we try to renegotiate a contract or something like that, it always go pretty smoothly. But I'm tired of having this conversation with him about like what I think should be dealt with in different ways.
Yeah.
And it doesn't help our relationship, and I don't like 100%. It. And he's super comprehensive, like he's.
Yeah, and you're the guy that has to go. You have to be the bad guy in that situation. Exactly the same thing, right? It's I don't want to say puts a target on your head or something like that, but like you said, it's not necessarily great for the relationship. It would be awesome if you could just do football, but at the same time, it's tough when guys in the locker room are depending on you and you honestly feel that things should be done this way. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing if the team's on you, which does happen. Like, we have some team votes on things that we don't necessarily all agree with. You know what I mean? And that stuff can be tough to take to coaches and the front office and stuff like that. But when you personally think that things could be done a better way, it's a conversation that, I mean, like you said, as you get older, kind of needs to be had.
Yeah, it's just it's a weight on your shoulders for sure.
Yeah.
To have to go there and have this conversation. You always seems like the guy who's complaining, and it's not always coming from you. But most of the time, I agree with whatever I got bring up. But it's just a lot of time I wouldn't bring it up because it's just I would like things to be like that, but it doesn't have to be. It's not a necessity. But you still got to bring it up all the time. And the last year there was a transition. Now GP's our other PA rep, but we had Chris Randall, who was going to retire. So he was still doing an awesome job for a guy that was going to retire. But after that, they decided there was no season. He kind of like moved on, and which is fine. It's perfect actually. But I was kind of by myself for a long time, having to deal with all of that. And at some point, I really felt like I don't like being this guy who's always gonna go see not even Marcel, but even higher than that, like to the office on the other side of the stadium and say, hey, what's gonna happen with the queues or what's gonna happen with financial there? I don't want to be that guy.
100%.
Yeah, that's not what I signed up for. But
no, exactly.
Yeah, but if that was my job, it would be different. If that was like, I'm not getting paid to be a player rep or something.
Exactly.
But if I would make money with it, and I've proposed that one time that we should have a rep that's outside of the team actually. So like a guy that retired but that's still living in town. So that when there's some situation where the rep is not comfortable bringing it up or that it could be a target against him, we just call this guy and say, hey, look, we got early meetings. We're not supposed to have early meetings. Like
exact same, the middleman, like player agents, right? That's literally what player agents are for.
Exactly.
So we don't have to go to the GM and be like, this is bullshit. You're giving me $20,000 less than I'm worth. You know what I mean? Like we have that middleman so that there doesn't ever become any animosity between us and the front office and stuff like that. So I agree. That's actually a good idea. Having some sort of outsider like that too, that can voice their opinions and not have any negative consequences redirected at you, the player. So that's not a bad idea either.
Yeah, I think it would help, Paul. It would make a lot of things a lot easier. Talk about agent. Have you ever considered that? I know there's a lot of guys.
Player agents? No, I don't want to do that. No. I like, dude. Honestly, doing what I've been doing the past year, like I said, working with Ion Group of companies, Athletic Alliance, and stuff like that. The business world fascinates me. Like something that I've done a couple of things with the Big Brothers Big Sisters of Ottawa. I'm in trying to do stuff with the Kids Help Phone and stuff like that. In all honesty, it's kind of opened my eyes to fundraising jobs and initiatives and stuff like that in the business world. And I honestly like, it's intriguing to me because it ties in so much of how we build and market ourselves and our personal brands and trying to tie that into companies and what companies provide us value and what value we can provide to companies and stuff like that as well, right? So I think that's a natural fit. And then the other thing that I've always been drawn to is first responders. I would absolutely love to be a full-time firefighter. It's just the city of Ottawa, it's so hard. And I mean, you know, with our jobs right now, right? Like we're 30 years old trying to take that next step into the workplace. It's hard to start from zero and stuff like that. And I mean, I tried to get on and had an interview to be a volunteer firefighter in Manotick where I live. And I mean, there were a lot of interviews for a few spots. I didn't get on. I'm still going to try, because you need that initial training before you can become full-time, right? But it's difficult. It's a lot easier in smaller communities than the city of Ottawa. But I mean, that's what I'd absolutely love to do. But like you said, the one good thing about this past year is literally the opportunities that we've had to explore potential careers, right? Finding out what you don't like is just as valuable as finding out what you do like, literally.
Yeah, see, me on the business side, I figured out that I find it too frustrating most of the time. Everything, and I saw, let's say, how the league runs and stuff, and I'm just so hard to get things done. And that's intriguing at the same time. It's like, could I do it better? Could I try to make things happen faster? But it's also very discouraging when you think about it, like to try to start from the bottom and make your ideas like not make your ideas, but propose your idea to the top of the thing so that it's actually become something.
What was your university degree?
I studied in physical education.
Okay, phys ed.
Phys ed, yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. See, so I was like, I've got a bachelor of human kinetics, so I did take like sport marketing, sport management, sport administration, and stuff like that was part of my degree, which I think is, something that would naturally fit. I'd love to become involved in like Football Canada and stuff like that outside of the fundraising, but that makes sense. I get your perspective too, but so what are you looking at? Obviously, like you said, you're building relationships, and I know that you do a ton of coaching as well.
Yeah, so I did a lot of teaching before, substitute teaching, and the one thing that I had a tough time with was working with, I'm going to say athletes, but with students that are not necessarily committed to what we're doing there. You know, I'm used with that when I'm on a football field, it's 100%. And it was tough for me to detach myself from that when I was teaching and not be hard on the kids, because I understand if you don't care about badminton, I'm not going to force you to become the best badminton player there is. And it's the opposite when I'm working a football camp. Now it's like, I'm going to make you the best version of the football player that you want to be because you signed up for this. And I enjoyed that a lot more. So I've worked with Carleton University a lot. I've always loved the way they did things there, even because what I was going to say is that I got a friend, he's now the defensive coordinator there. So he kind of introduced me to the whole staff. But before that, we used their facilities for our training camp, but with the Red Blacks the first year that we were there. And I could see a little bit how things were run there, and I totally enjoyed it. I think Steve Samara is a great guy. And their whole staff, right now I'm working with them in the prospect and elite camp. And we're having a pretty good time actually, because it's the first time we can actually get out of the house and do some football with the kids. We do a lot of virtual stuff as well. But I'm really involved with them. I don't know if that's where it's going to take me, but I think there's a possibility for opening there. But the football world can change so fast, we don't know. The guys that are there right now might not even be there later, or they might be full staff. But I'd be intrigued in exploring coaching, whether it's with them or another organization. Maybe I'm gonna have to go back home for that, so we'll see.
Les Carabins.
Les Carabins, oui. My good friend Marco Yadulka got named the head coach there and is doing an awesome job. But they get a pretty good staff. I don't know if I could find a way to get in there, but I still got a lot of football. I feel like I want to play.
There you go. That's your pitch to Marcel.
Yeah, I want to play
left.
10 more years of football at high level. No, but I do feel like I'm not done with football, honestly. Yeah. That's also what I've realized during that pandemic, is that I would miss it too much if I stopped now.
Yeah, I miss it too. But
I still got a lot of stuff to prove. The funny thing, though, is all those people that comes to you and they're like, so, hey, your body must feel great now after a full year of recovery. And for myself, I was injured at the end of last year, so almost a year and a half. And I was like, I always say yes. Oh, yeah, I'm in the best shape of my life. But, hey, my body still feels terrible. It hasn't changed a thing. I'm going to handle it and play a lot more years. But it doesn't feel that much better. And believe me, I've worked on everything that I could work on my body to feel better. And it just doesn't get that much better as people would expect it to. Yes, you heal a little bit, but I think it takes a lot more than 1 year of recovery to go through fix everything we endured during those 10, 15, 20 years of football.
Yeah, 100%. We were talking in the gym the other day about it. People don't realize literally how fucked up your body feels. Like, even literally as early as training camp. Like, what, day 3 or 4 of training camp? Like, you can't walk, and you have to practice on the field for 4 hours a day. It's like, how you convince your body to do that, I don't know. A lot of pre-workout, a lot of caffeine, but like it's crazy, and you go from like us playing 8 games in university to playing 18 games, not including preseason games, not including playoffs, the CFL. Like, it's a grind, man. Like,
but it's also the best part of it all, though. It's also what makes it fun. It's to go through that, to be able to play football. I remember, so I ran a pretty fast 40, okay?
How much heat did you take for your running form while running that fast 40?
Oh my God. I think some teams, I thought that my 40 was gonna bring good attention to me, and actually, I think some team wrote me off their interviews after that.
This guy is the ugliest, fastest runner ever.
But so yeah, I ran a pretty fast 40.
Yep.
But I remember after those 12 first game in my career, our season's supposed to be done at university, and then I ran on kickoff on the 13th game, and everyone's ahead of me. I'm like, what happened? But it's just my body was a mess back there.
Yeah.
And now I had to learn foot. Everyone was telling me that I got to play pro football because I was fast. And that's why I realized it had nothing to do with that, because I was able to find a way. I was literally the slowest player on the team, because that year I was playing 4 special teams and starting at Sam linebacker. Mm-hmm. So after 13 games, I was probably the worst football athlete that there was on the field.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to adapt and play with less speed and still being able to make the plays. And I think the second part of my season, taking the fact that I was gaining an experience at the same time, was better than the first half of my season, even though my body was a mess. And going through that whole struggle and the pride that comes out of it is amazing. And I think that's what keeps me going. I love to look at I broke my leg last year, 2 years ago, and kept playing. I didn't thought that was a contusion, but it was broken. But looking at my teammates and looking at them looking at me is like, that what keeps me going. Like, I earned the respect of my teammates because I was still out there. And that's why I wanted to play that last game so bad. And guys were like, we're out to play. I was like, why are you doing it? I got to do it for myself, to feel good about myself, to be a football player again, and show that I can still do it, even though my body's a little bit messed up. So to me, that's the best part of football.
No, I agree. The people. That's the thing. Like, people, the roster on football, like even our game day roster is huge, but it's like you literally develop such good relationships that like people don't realize we're together literally every single day for like 6 months. Like you talked about, right? How many games of fingers or how many beers have you chugged at the bar and stuff like that with the guys? And it's like there's something so simple about like knowing the person next to you is literally willing to like get hurt, like put their body on the line every single play just to like have a successful play. And it's literally 12 people on the field doing that every time, and it's crazy. I mean, when you say it like that, I guess it seems pretty barbaric, but it's like, you honestly, I tell everyone, you cannot compete with the relationships that you build through football. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah, no, it's unreal. And also the fact that you become friends with guys that you wouldn't expect would be your friends. Yeah.
There's going to be some guys completely different background, but it still end up being it could be your best friend on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
And then because he's your best friend on the field, he's going to become one of your best friends in reality.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the craziest things about football is just like how close and how strong the relationships you build with people are. Like it's insane. You can't get that I mean, this is literally our workplace, right? Like there's no other workplace in the world that builds relationships with your coworkers like professional football.
What amazed me is like that you become friends with guys that got completely different background than you do. You would never expect, let's say on the first day of training camp, to say, this guy's going to be my best friend. But then something's happened on the field. He's got your back. You get to know this person more. You go on trips on road trips with this guy, and you become friend because you're also forced to be with some guys that you would not hang out with, and you get to learn about so much stuff because you tell you were not interested by, let's say, rap music, and then you're going to listen to it and you're like, okay, that's actually amazing. And I know I was really not the biggest hip hop fan until somebody explained me like the meaning behind it all. So it's stuff like that just builds up that you would never expect that you would build an interest for. And I don't know, I find it really, that we're really fortunate and lucky to have like so much diversity on the team and being able to share experiences from a guy that, you know, he wasn't, I think about Sherrod Baltimore right now. Like Sherrod Baltimore, he's come from Washington, got tons of siblings and like sister and brothers. His mother is taking care of them all there, and he's also a big caretaker for his sister and brother. And we just come from 2 completely different backgrounds, but it's just amazing how we've built an amazing relationship. We see each other weekly. with social distancing. But we work out together, and we became really close friends. He moved into Ottawa full time now, and he played his football at in Maine.
Maine, yeah.
Yeah. So I would not expect like us two to be friends, but just we got to hang together because we're both DBs. And then I was like, hey, this guy's actually really genuine and super cool, and I need to learn more about this guy, and we became good friends. So
yeah,
I just feel lucky.
100%. And I mean, I think obviously I'm biased, but I think that's what literally makes people from the CFL or professional football or professional sports in general just so employable, because you literally can't mimic that anywhere in society, you know what I mean? Like your average 24, 25-year-old getting their first shot at a corporate gig or something like that, and some of the teams that they work at, it's like you're in cubicles, you're working on computers, and yeah, you have relationships with your coworkers and stuff like that. Dude, you and I make big plays and we make mistakes in front of 25, sometimes 50,000 people yelling at us. You know what I mean? Like, if that's not performing under pressure, like I don't know what else is. In terms of the discipline and responsibility that we have to take every single week with new game plans and the way that we live our lives, and we're under microscopes when we're on social media, things like that. Like, we literally have to live our lives to different rules than the average person.
And there's not a lot of room for mistake. It's 100%. Like if that guy was working in his office and he's got a camera right over him.
Yeah, man.
Hey, don't go on Facebook, buddy.
How long would those people keep their jobs? That's what I'm saying.
And if you go on Facebook, then you got to watch the tape the next morning in front of all the other employees. All right, back, forward. Like you see here, yeah, you click FAC. And hey, it went straight to Facebook after F and A. So I know it's not the first time you went on Facebook. It was already in your computer. What are you doing? Let's watch it again. One more time. Here's Steve going on Facebook, guys.
Yeah, 100%. You're out of here. You're fired. No severance. No nothing.
Yeah.
Find another job. But no, it's exactly that, right? Like we mess up, we end up on Sports Center's worst places of the day, or I drop a ball and I've got 20,000 people telling me I suck. It's funny and it's unique, but in all honesty, that's the way that I perceive it. I honestly just perceive it as I'm lucky to be able to experience this, right? It's life experiences and the culmination of so many different things, like you said, in terms of the relationships that we build with our coworkers, to the pressure that we're put under, the way that we have to live our lives. It's like valuable life skills. You
build yourself as a person, like when you're in that environment. And I know I had to change a lot of stuff. My mindset wasn't right a lot of time. I worked with a sports psychologist, and she was telling me basically that a lot of things I was trying to do was red lights. Mm-hmm. It's like, I gotta stop this guy from catching the ball. And she said, that's not a good way to think in your head.
You gotta make a play.
I gotta make a play. I gotta, here's the technique I gotta use to make a play on the ball there, instead of just thinking, I gotta stop him from doing something. What do I gotta do to make things happen? Because I was living in that life of being scared of what could go wrong. And then I translated that to a lot of things in my life. Right now I'm getting kicked out of my house because the owner is selling the house and I was renting. And buying right now in the market is crazy. And I could be very anxious and just saying like, oh, well, I'm getting kicked out. Like, what am I getting? Like, what's going to happen? I don't want to think about the result of things. And I'm just going to focus on, all right, what do I got to do right now to find a place and make it work? We just got a newborn. Like, I'm not scared about the result anymore. I'm just focusing on the task I got to do right now to make things right. And I think before I would have been nervous about something like that, and now it's just way over my head, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And speaking of the Ottawa market right now, it's absolutely crazy. That was the one thing, too, that I did right. Like, I bought my first property when I was 25 years old here in Ottawa in 2016, and we just bought another house last August during the pandemic, but we're selling the house that I'm in right now next month, and I'm literally gonna double my original investment, which is absolutely crazy. I mean, getting a little bit lucky with the way that the market is, but just goes to show you too, right? In terms of other revenue streams and being able to diversify your portfolio that way.
Yeah, I got a lot of regret in that department for sure when I
Yeah.
see what happened with the market. But at the same time, just to go back with the mindset, now I'm also happy with what's going on because I'm like, it's gonna force me to go on the market and buy a house, and there's some positive that's gonna come out of all of this. So yeah, and the market, but the market is pretty crazy. I don't know how people are doing it really. I think a lot of people that had houses before, so that we're trying to buy our first house, and I think for first home buyer right now, it's
hard.
It's
man.
really hard.
Hard.
And people are betting way over what they can afford. And I think we're gonna see with the taxes and what's gonna happen with the T4 with everybody. But I don't know. I got my doubts. I think some people are gonna be struggling. I hope not, but just enough so that I can find a house.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. No, and that's just it too. Just to change the gears like one last time, something that I really wanted to get to is Ibrahimovic, soccer player, has now gone on record twice, basically going at LeBron, saying that athletes need to stay in their lane on social media, in the press, that sort of thing. Like, what are your takes on that? Because I know I have a pretty big opinion on this, but what do you think?
Well, my first thing would be coming from him. I'm not surprised. It's like this guy will say whatever he needs to say to have his name put in on Google, somewhere. So I'm not surprised, but I think that is like being very narrow-minded. That you think that you're a football player, you just got to talk about football. What do you mean?
Yeah. Do you feel like you have a platform? Just as like first, like if you were to go out and say something, do you feel like you have a platform?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anytime I conduct an interview with someone in the media, whether it's about like PA stuff or what happened in the football field, I know that whatever I say, I got the opportunity there to send a message on whenever the OSEC staff film me after a game and I got something to say. It's an opportunity for me to reach out to a lot of people. So I do have a platform and I got to be careful on what I say and how I use it. And to think that LeBron James should just shut up and dribble is so stupid because this guy is going to be asked a lot more than that. And if he doesn't do it, then people are going to be mad at him for not doing it. So is it a necessity? Do you have to do it? No, if you're not comfortable doing it, but I think he's a good ambassador for his culture and what he stands for. So what's wrong with it? He didn't say anything wrong. Like I don't get what's the problem. It's not like if the statements that he's making are always stupid and creating reaction. Like it's always positive whatever comes out of what LeBron James say from my view.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree, and that's exactly my take too. I mean, if you're given a platform, and I mean LeBron James has a big platform, right? Yeah. But I mean, if you look at the way he's used it and the things that he's pushed, I mean, I don't know how you could say something so narrow-minded, like you said. It's like when you have a reach of literally millions and millions and millions of people, and you are trying to push your personal beliefs for the betterment of society, literally everything that he's contributed to the Black Lives Matter movement and everything that's going on there. I mean, that's stuff that needs to happen, man. Those are conversations that need to happen. Obviously his deals with Nike and his personal sponsorships and stuff like that, that's literally what you want a community ambassador to be. You know what I mean? Like if I'm actively seeking out sponsorships or community partners and stuff like that, and they're trying to push an agenda on me, that's like huge red flag right off the bat. You know what I mean? Like I'm me, and that's not going to change. And I mean, like I said, it should be as authentic as it possibly can. If you have to try and change or censor or watch what you say in the media because of that, then I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's a waste of a platform. Like I said, there's too much shitty stuff that goes on in this world, and there's too many people that are put in terrible situations to be silent about some of these things, especially when you can speak up and raise awareness about it like that.
But I like the fact that you talked about like honesty and being more like of an open book, because I feel sometimes it's just a fear that we got to. I gotta be careful about what I say. I don't want to lose my job and stuff like that. I've said a lot of things, especially in the last year. I've took some shot at the commissioner or the way our things were run, and even sometimes in our organization, I took some shots, and I never got like backsplash of that. Nothing happened to me because I didn't lose my job. I still got offered a new contract this year. I think people know it comes from a good place. I'm not trying to, when I say something, is to see change because I think change is necessary. Yeah. And I think people have to be more honest and open when they use their social media platform. But it's a scary world that we're in right now, because you gotta be careful on some topics. A lot of people want you to mess up, and as soon as you're gonna mess up, they're gonna take a shot at you, and they're gonna try to go for your head. But at the same time, if you're someone that always do it, I think like it's less damaging, because like, well, I always speak up my mind, and this is what I think, and this is what it is. If you're not happy with it, you're not happy with it. But yeah. If somebody, I'm the biggest LeBron James fan, for example. Like, so I'm glad you're talking about LeBron James, but he's with the same girlfriend since the beginning of his career. He's done everything right. To me, if you don't like LeBron James, you're just that guy who doesn't like heroes, or you'd like to be a victim or something. You're a hater. Like, look, the guy is doing things
100%.
right.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that, right? Like, I don't understand where or when this whole thing of you need to put people down to bring yourself up like happened. Like, when the fuck did that happen? I agree. You can't just you need to genuinely be happy for some people that are doing good stuff. And like you said, exactly. I mean, over the past year or two, I mean, we were both dealing with some stuff, and it's tough when you're a leader in the locker room and you also have obligations to your city and your employer and stuff like that too, right? Like you said, taking a couple shots at the CFL and what was going on and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, people know it's because, like, dude, our loyalty is with the people that go to battle with us. You know what I mean? Like, I've had coaches that I'll run through brick walls for. I've played with people. We've both broken bones in our career and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's like, as an athlete and as a person, our loyalty is always going to be with the person sitting in the cubby next to us, right? And the person we're looking across the locker room at. And it has to be that way because that's what got us to where we are right now. I think I'd classify both of us as team guys. And that's the thing is when you're genuinely a good person, I think it's easy to tell, you know what I mean? Especially with social media and stuff like that now, it's easy to see through people who are just posting stupid shit to try and get famous. And that's another one of the problems with what's going on right now is there's way too many stupid people that are famous, man. Like,
that's right, yeah. And it all comes to come down to when we were young, we idolized some people. You know, like I was looking up to Mike Pringle, was a CFL running back for Montreal Alouettes. Him and Smith, while all running backs, I was playing running back at the time. But also some basketball player, Vince Carter, a bunch of them. But there was a reason behind it that was because of what I wanted to accomplish in life. And there's a reason why right now I'm playing football. Is because these were my idols and I wanted to do it, make it happen. And when you look at influencers and stuff like that, which we are also sometimes, we are losing that platform as influencer, but when it's just for the looks, that's where
100%.
It doesn't work for me.
Is it to make money and for your own personal business, or is it authentic? And that's just it too, right? It's like I said, the authentic. Where did the partnership start? And does it make sense? Like you talk about influencers, I agree. Sometimes we definitely could be considered influencers. Sometimes we definitely do influencer marketing and stuff like that, right? But at the end of the day, it's because we started and have this platform. We didn't create this influencer persona to try and push things that we don't believe in. I mean, we don't actively reach out and contact people unless, I mean, I have no problem shooting someone a DM or asking for the email address of the president of a company or something like that if it's someone that I really want to work with.
Yep.
And stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's like it's like you said, there's way too many stupid people that are famous for doing the wrong things.
Exactly. Either if it's for stupid comments like Ibrahimovic or for your looks. You can be very smart and look good. That's what I'm saying. I just don't want the message to be out there for the kids to watch and like, what I want to do later is look good. You know, because it might not happen. You know, there's a good chance it's not gonna happen, or that it's gonna happen. You're beautiful in every way, but I mean, you're not gonna be the Instagram standards necessarily. So I think we gotta be really careful with the content that we're sending out there, and it also creates like, there's so many idols, like you said. Now you could go so many different ways, and I don't think it's necessarily a good thing because there's too many ways that to me are just bad. You don't want to be like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, but even I, as a football player, sometimes I feel like a fraud when they send me into school and I gotta make tell the kids that what I'm doing is so exceptional and that I don't know if you see where I'm going with this, 100%. But I got a tough time explaining it. But
we're normal guys.
We're
it's always
very
gonna be
regular
weird.
guy.
I'm with you on that 100%. People ask me like if you get used to signing autographs and shit like that, and the answer is always no, man. Like it's always weird.
But that's what I like also, that we're regular guys. I mean, it's accessible. You can get there. You can make it. Sometimes one of the big stars we got in Quebec is Laurent Duvernay-Tardif.
Yep.
If Laurent is probably the most amazing person that I know. I don't know him that well, but I've met and stuff. And when I look at his achievement and everything he's doing, but man, that's some tough shoes to follow.
Yeah, man.
You can be a doctor and play sports at the same time and actually be the best in the world at what you're doing and like almost everything.
That's the role model Canada needs, though, bro.
Yeah,
that him right there, exactly.
Exactly, but they need him absolutely. But I hope that kids are realizing that you don't have to be all of that either, you know?
Oh, 100%, exactly. It's not the culmination of everything that he did that makes him a good person. Mm-hmm. It's every single individual thing that he did that makes him a good person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But I you know what? I kind of going back on my thoughts right now. I was talking about like the influencers. Mm-hmm. But the one good thing I see from it is also the fact that they're reachable. For kids, like you might idolize someone and you can reach out to him with one DM too. So that's the one good part that I see from it. As long as the content is good.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's just it. Screen time when you're young, man, you get 3, 4, 5-year-olds on YouTube. I mean, there's people, 7, 8, 9-year-old kids with YouTube channels that are making $100,000 a month. Like, it's absolutely insane out there. But you're right. It's really just sifting through all of the bullshit and getting to some real good role models. And in all honesty, is kind of society's job to push the good people forward. You know what I mean? There's always going to be access to social media networks out there and stuff like that. But
because of the pandemic right now, it's also, that's what we got. That's what's out there. You know, there's not that much event outside. You want to send the kids outside. Well, they can't even go play at the hockey rink. So that's why we gotta, in those times, like in the times that we are right now, we gotta be even more careful about that, because they're gonna be, and we are as well, a lot in those social media. And every time I open my Facebook page or I listen to the radio in the morning, I'm automatically pissed off. Mm-hmm. My day starts bad every time I do that.
100%.
So, and then I go to Lansdowne. I remember earlier during the pandemic, I was biking to Lansdowne every day. And there was always people in the park, like running, doing some stuff. And everything seems totally normal until I open my Facebook page. So, I mean, we all got to step away from that big time. I think I'm going to lead by example soon and close some of my media stuff. Yeah. Probably just going to keep my Instagram, because at least I don't get that news feed. And what is reporting these days too?
But that's just it. I know, yeah, 100%. And I understand it, but literally waiting for the COVID numbers in Ontario and local numbers and stuff like that every single day is absolutely crazy. I mean, in the CFL, I mean, we find stuff out on Twitter before we're sent emails.
But do we really find stuff out though? That's the thing. It's not, to me, it's not even...
It's speculation.
It's speculation 100%. All the time, and 1 time out of 10, it's something accurate.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm so tired of, whether it's reporting for COVID or reporting for CFL stuff, it's all the same story. Somebody finds an information and doesn't make the effort to back it up, to see if it's relevant. As long as it's out there, it's on Wikipedia, it's true. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
What's going on? I had some article with me and Tim Baines. We did a big interview recently, and it was reposted after by 3 Down Nation. They took like more than half of the quotes that Tim Baines took in that, and then they made a whole article about it. But 3 Down Nation never contacted me.
Yeah.
So we had a 50 minutes conversation to build that article, me and Tim together. How can they understand what are my quotes signifying? Like what those quotes mean?
Yeah.
How can you build another article around the quotes that you haven't, and they don't even have the decency for putting my name out there to give me the opportunity to speak.
They have zero context. I get what you're saying, 100%. And I think that's why at the end of the day, it's all going to fall down to the media outlets and being responsible. But it's like we talked about too, these companies that are using social media influencers in terms to market their stuff. And it's like, at the end of the day, you should have the responsibility to make sure that the content that you're pushing out and the people that you're working with are good people. You know what I mean? And I think that companies have to step up in that department. And I think that in terms of how we treat society in general, that would be a huge upgrade to what we currently have right now.
And I think that's the reason podcasts like we're doing right now are so popular, because you get the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you don't hide anything, right? If you can't just take a quote out of context, because we're always gonna the context is always gonna be somewhere, so nobody can just deform your idea. Is that a word, deform? Nobody can reshape your ideas to try to make it sound like something else, right? So I like this format to kind of say what we got on our mind, and that's why I'm a lot more open about things when I'm on a podcast, because I feel like I can put the context of things.
It's easier, 100%. Yeah. Even when someone is literally tape recording, like a lot of reporters do, or writing down notes or something like that, you have no idea what they're gonna write, right? So it's like you said, this is authentic, this is us, and you know what? I actually think that that's a perfect way to end that. So I mean, yeah, hopefully they enjoyed it. My first podcast. My first guest, Antoine Pruneau. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you being you, because that's what this is all about.
Yeah, thanks. I had an awesome time, man. Hopefully we can do this again later on when you reach the 1,000 views.
1,000 views. I hope I get more than 1,000 views.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't want to come back too late either. I could be back next week.
100%. We'll hang out.
All right.
All right. Appreciate it, man.